What would you do if you were Ghassan? From the war-torn streets of Yemen to the sun-soaked campus of Arizona State University, Ghassan's journey was more than just a change of scenery. It was a leap into a world he had only dreamed of, a world that promised freedom, opportunity, and perhaps love. But as Ghassan would soon discover, the American dream can sometimes turn into a bittersweet awakening. Who would have thought? Meet Ghassan, 35 years old, raised in Yemen during years of civil unrest. He grew up in a world where life was shaped by faith, tradition, and survival. But deep inside, he always dreamed of something more. In 2019, Ghassan made the hardest decision of his life, to leave everything behind and move to the United States. He arrived in Phoenix, Arizona on a student visa, enrolling in nursing school at Arizona State University. Everything felt different. The freedom, the openness, the possibilities. For someone raised in a very conservative culture, it was overwhelming and exciting, but also confusing. Change in background music, upbeat but curious. Ghassan's dream was not just academic. He would always imagine himself one day with a blonde woman. In his culture, such a fantasy felt distant. But now, in the heart of Arizona, it felt almost within reach. There was just one problem. Ghassan had never spoken to a woman romantically before. Enter Mohammed, his classmate, his guide, and his opposite in every way. While Ghassan was reserved and faithful, Mohammed was charismatic, outgoing, and wild. Parties, casinos, relationships. Mohammed lived like life had no breaks. If you are enjoying this, hit the subscribe button. Curious and desperate to break out of his shell, Ghassan asked Mohammed for help. He wanted to connect. He wanted to live. With time, Ghassan learned to carry conversations, make jokes, and just not be present. And that's when he met Alice. Alice was everything he dreamed of. Blonde, blue-eyed, kind, and intelligent. She was studying for her graduate degree and had moved to Phoenix from Montana. Their bond started quietly. Just study sessions at the library. But soon, it became more. They took the relationship further. They talked, they texted, they laughed. For the first time in his life, Ghassan felt seen. Not as a refugee or a foreigner, but as a man with a voice, a heart, and dreams. And every time Ghassan was with her, he exclaimed, Alhamdulillah. Not knowing this beautiful pearl would lead to his destruction, but there was a shadow. Ghassan couldn't tell his family. She wasn't Muslim, and in his world that was enough to end a relationship before it began. So he kept it all secret. The dates, the affection, the hope. She felt she has had enough. Then, out of nowhere, she pulled away. Alice said she needed a break, that she wasn't ready for something serious. Ghassan was crushed. He couldn't eat, couldn't focus, couldn't study. She had become his anchor, and now he was drifting. He tried calling, texting, waiting outside the library. Nothing worked. Frustrated like an investor with a crumbled investment, and then came the news that shattered him. Alice was back with her ex, the one she said had mistreated her. Ghassan was heartbroken, lost, and angry, not at her, but at himself. For believing too much, hoping to fast, and building a life around someone who didn't see him the same way. He told Mohammed everything. And Mohammed, with a knowing sigh, said something he'd never forget. Said to himself, "Oh, Ghassan, it's the sweetness of honey that makes you forget how heavy it really is." This is it. And Ghassan's story isn't unique. Many who move across the world in search of a better life also search for love, connection, and belonging. But sometimes the dream doesn't play out the way we expect it to. So what is this, love? Infatuation? Or just part of growing up in a world you're still learning to navigate? Let us know in the comments. Do you think Ghassan stand a chance in getting her back? Does he deserve such treatment from a lover? If you want to hear more real-life stories of culture, identity, and transformation, hit that subscribe button. We are telling stories of immigrants where life events turn into scripts. Click the like button. Stories, real people.